Mark Zuckerberg has completely shocked the world today with the absolutely insane things that he just said about Trump. Now, we have to address the elephant in the room here before we get into the praise that he gives Trump here, because it looks like that he is doing a complete 180 on Trump here. This is absolutely wild stuff, and it shows you the dramatic shift that we have seen in the culture over the past week after what happened at the rally where someone tried to take the life of Trump. Now, before we get into that, we have to address the elephant in the room, all right? Mark Zuckerberg was someone who censored Trump for years and years and years on Meta, on Facebook, all right? He is someone who silenced and censored thousands, if not millions, of patriots on Facebook and on Meta. He aided in the election interference in 2020 against Trump, okay? This is who we are dealing with, and I have to say, the amount of conservatives that I've seen today praising Mark Zuckerberg for what he says here is absolutely wild to me. How on earth are we going to suddenly just trust this guy and give him all of our praise and pretend like Mark Zuckerberg has never done anything wrong to conservatives or to Trump? We're going to just pretend that all of that doesn't exist now. Maybe he has had a genuine change of heart, but I, for one, am not going to just forget everything that he has done over the past few years. So let's go ahead and jump into what he says here in this absolutely insane video.
I've done some stuff personally in the past. I'm not planning on doing that this time. And that includes, not endorsing either of the candidates. Now, look, there's obviously a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world. The historic events over the last over the weekend. And on a personal note, it's...
Okay, but not only did you endorse personally one of the candidates in 2020, but you also heavily silenced and censored the other candidate and his supporters.
Over the weekend. And on a personal note, it's, seeing Donald Trump get up after getting shot in the face and pump his fist in the air with the American flag is one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life. But
now I agree with that.
But look, it's and I think, look, at some level as an American, it's like hard to not get kind of emotional about that spirit and that fight. And I think that's why a lot of people like the guy.
I would not be surprised if Mark Zuckerberg votes for Trump in this election cycle. I would not be surprised by that at all. Now look, Mark Zuckerberg, he might believe these things. Maybe he is actually less pro-censorship than what we think. But if that's the case, then that means that he is a coward because he did not stand up to protect the First Amendment rights of Americans on Facebook and on Meta. But of course, we've continued to see censorship on Facebook. We have continued to see that happen even up to this day. The tide is turning. Mark Zuckerberg praised Donald Trump. Now, I want to hear your guys' thoughts about this in the comments below because I think this is a very important conversation that people need to have, okay? Do we just blindly just accept Mark Zuckerberg that he is now just a total patriot and that he hasn't done any of those bad things and terrible things that he has done to harm America over the past few years? How do we handle this situation? Mark Zuckerberg is an enemy of the people. Him calling President Trump badass doesn't change that. He only recently stopped censoring President Trump, but he is still censoring thousands of people. He spent $500 million to help steal the election, throw his ass in jail. This is the opinion of Joseph Pino. Now, two things can be true at once. On one hand, it can be true that maybe Mark Zuckerberg does think that Trump is a total badass now. Maybe he is going to vote for Trump. Maybe he has woken up to see that Trump is the best option for America. It could also be true at the same time, and it is true at the same time, that Mark Zuckerberg has done a lot of damage to America over the past few years, and he is still doing damage to this day with the censorship that is happening on Facebook. So he needs to reconcile that before I even come close to trusting Mark Zuckerberg whatsoever. So with that being said, let me know what you think about all of this insanity in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you all in another video very soon.